Do you know who not to be kind to? Even if you were raised to be kind to everyone at a certain age, your time, your energy, and your peace are no longer things to be handed out freely to anyone who wants a piece of them. The older you get, the more you realize that kindness is not always a gift. It can be a trap. There are people out there who thrive on your generosity, your patience, your silence. And the longer you let them in, the more they take in this video. We're going to talk about 5 types of people. You should stop being kind to an old age. These aren't strangers or distant acquaintances. These are people who often sit closest to you. Family, neighbours, even old friends. But if you're not careful, their patterns of behaviour can drain you in ways you don't even see coming. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly who to watch out for, why their presence wears you down, and how to protect your emotional health without guilt or apology, because your later years aren't for fixing people. They're for protecting what's left of your peace. Let's get started. Number 1, the constant taker. One of the clearest signs that someone doesn't deserve your kindness anymore is when they only show up with their hand out. You know, the type when they call. It's never just to check in or share a laugh. It's to ask for something, a favour, a ride alone. Your time. And they always seem to need it. Now, think about someone like Gloria, 71, who's always been the go-to for everyone in her family. Need a last-minute babysitter call. Gloria needs someone to watch her dog during vacation. Gloria won't say no, but over time she began to realise something. When her own birthday came around, the phone stayed quiet. When she was sick for a week, no one dropped off soup or even sent a message. That's when it hit her the relationships weren't mutual. She was the giver, always, and the giving never came back. There's a strange guilt we carry when we consider pulling back from people like this. Especially if they're family, we tell ourselves that being needed is a good thing, that saying no is selfish. That maybe next time they'll notice how much we do. But here's the truth. If someone only values you when you're useful, then they don't really value you at all. You're not a person to them. You're a service. And the older you get, the more dangerous that becomes, because your resources, your time, your energy, even your physical strength are not unlimited anymore. And giving them to someone who only takes is like pouring water into a cup with a hole at the bottom. You're allowed to say no without explanation. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to protect what little quiet and strength you still have for people who truly care. And if someone walks away because you stop saying yes every time that tells you everything you need to know, you were never loved. You were just convenient. Don't let kindness become a burden. Don't let generosity become a chain. Because in these years, every moment you give should be one that feeds you back in return. Number 2, the chronic critic. There's a special kind of weariness that comes from spending time with someone who always points out what's wrong with your clothes, with your choices, with your past. These people don't shout or curse, but their words sting just the same because they're delivered in small, steady doses, and over time, they wear you down. Picture someone like Raymond, 82, who visits his cousin every Sunday. He brings fresh bread checks in on the house, tries to stay connected, and every time his cousin finds something to criticize, your hair looks different. Why'd you sell that old chair? You always take things too personally. At first, Raymond smiled through it, told himself it was harmless, but after years of those visits, he started feeling smaller, doubted his choices, more lost. The joy he once felt walking up to that porch. The danger of chronic criticism isn't in the words themselves, it's in the slow erosion of your self-rust. These people mask their cruelty as concern, they say. They're just being honest, just helping you improve, but what they're really doing is chipping away at your peace one comment at a time. And when you let that go, unchecked, something inside you starts to shrink. You stop sharing, you stop trying new things. You brace yourself before every conversation wondering what they'll pick apart next. At this age, you've earned the right to feel safe in your own skin. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to please. You don't need to explain why you like, what you like, or live how you live. If someone always leaves you feeling wrong, small or broken, You owe it to yourself to stop handing them a front row seat to your life. Being kind doesn't mean being available for abuse, no matter how politely it's packaged. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to step back and say, I'm done letting you rewrite my story in your voice. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3, the guilt tripper. There's a heavy weight that comes from being around someone who knows how to twist every situation to make you feel like the villain. They don't yell, they don't argue, they simply look at you a certain way. Drop a few carefully chosen words and suddenly you're questioning whether you've done enough, whether you're good enough, whether you've failed them. Somehow, these are the guilt trippers, and they can be some of the most draining people to keep in your life, especially as you grow older. Take Margaret, 79, who lives on her own and tries to stay involved in her extended family's lives. Her niece only calls when she needs a favour, and when Margaret says no, even gently, she gets silence or worse comments like, I guess I just thought family would be there for me. Margaret isn't saying no out of spite. She's tired, she's protecting her time, but guilt doesn't care. It sneaks in and sits beside her all evening whispering that maybe she really is being selfish. What makes guilt trippers so difficult is that they often use your best qualities against you. Your loyalty, your empathy, your sense of duty. They make you feel like pulling back is an act of cruelty, when really it's the only way to survive. And over time, their emotional manipulation can become a pattern that's hard to spot until you notice that you're constantly apologizing, constantly over-explaining, constantly giving more than you're comfortable with, just to avoid the cold shoulder that follows any boundary. You try to set, here's the truth. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't have to explain every no. You don't have to trade your comfort for their temporary approval if someone can't love you unless you're bending over backwards for them. That's not love. That's leverage. And you're not a tool. You're not a caretaker of someone else's emotional wounds just because you're older and have more time. Your heart isn't a doormat, and guilt should never be the price you pay for saying what you need. The next time someone tries to guilt you for drawing a line, let that be your signal not to bend, but to step even further back, because peace isn't something you ask for, it's something you protect. Number 4, the secret competitor. Not every enemy shows their face. Some wear a smile, offer kind words, and even pretend to cheer you on. But underneath, there's something else brewing, a quiet, persistent competition. These are the secret competitors, people who don't just want to succeed, but want to make sure you don't shine too brightly beside them. You might know someone like Helen, 76, who joined a local art class after years of putting her creativity on hold. She was nervous but proud of herself for stepping out again. Her longtime friend Judy joined too, saying she wanted to support her. But week after week, Judy would find subtle ways to undercut her. Your piece is interesting, very bold for your age, or I love how carefree yours looks. I guess technique isn't everything on the surface. It was friendly, but to Helen, it chipped away at her confidence, until she started wondering whether she belonged there at all. Secret competitors don't attack directly. They use comparison like a scalpel, quite sharp and hard to trace. They always seem to have a slightly better story, a more exciting trip, a bigger compliment from someone you both know. And when you're around them, you never feel fully celebrated, just tolerated or, worse, minimized the danger. Here isn't just what they say, it's how it makes you shrink. You stop sharing your wins, you second-guess your growth. You learn to dim your light so theirs feels brighter. And that's not friendship, that's rivalry disguises closeness in older age. You don't need to compete with anyone. You've survived too much, lost too much and built too much to waste energy on comparisons that don't serve you. If someone around you can't clap when you win, or can only clap louder when they've outdone you, step back. You deserve to be around people who feel like a warm fire, not a cold scoreboard. Real friends lift you and celebrate you, inspire you to keep going. Not make you question why you started, and the older you get, the more precious that kind of support becomes. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5, the passive-aggressive manipulator. Some people don't yell, they don't argue, they don't confront. Instead, they master the art of silent sarcasm and subtle digs that leave you wondering whether you're overreacting. These are the passive-aggressive manipulators, and they are especially dangerous in older age because their behaviour can slip under your radar while quietly exhausting your spirit. Think of someone like Harold, 83, who's lived in the same neighbourhood for decades. His neighbour Doug always smiles and waves, but when Harold brings up needing help with something small, like moving a planter or lifting a heavy box, Doug chuckles and says things like, "Guess you're finally slowing down, huh? All right, offer. But I've got 2 knees that still work and I'd like to keep them that way." He doesn't refuse. Outright, he just hides the sting in a joke. And Harold is left standing there, unsure whether he's been insulted or just dismissed. Passive-aggressive people play by different rules. They avoid direct responsibility by pretending they didn't mean what they said. They leave messages unanswered. They cancel plans without explanation. And then, if you bring it up, they flip the script, accusing you of being sensitive, dramatic, or difficult over time. This wears you down. You start walking on eggshells, trying to avoid setting them off. You tell yourself, it's not worth the fuss, but it is, because the longer you stay in that dynamic, the more you start silencing your own needs just to keep the peace that never really existed in the first place. At this stage in life, peace isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. And anyone who disrupts it with emotional games is not someone you need to keep close. You don't have to respond to every slight. You don't have to teach them how to treat you. You simply step back, make space and reclaim the quiet they kept stirring up, because the truth is a smile. Without sincerity is just a mask. And you've lived too long to keep accepting counterfeit kindness. Let your final chapters be filled with people who mean what they say and say what they mean. Anything less is noise and you deserve better. Fart and final thoughts. Now that you've heard about these 5 types of people, take a moment to check in with yourself. Are any of them sitting too close in your life? Are you offering your time, your patience, or your energy to people who only take, only tear down, only twist your good intentions into obligations? The truth is, the older you get, the more valuable your peace becomes. You've carried people. You've forgiven more than you should have. You've kept silent to avoid stirring up conflict, but you don't have to keep doing that. Not anymore. These years aren't about enduring toxic patterns, they're about clearing them out. You have the right to protect your space. You have the right to choose who gets access to your heart, your time, your living room, and your phone. Being kind doesn't mean being available to people who leave you drained. It doesn't mean putting their comfort above your sanity. It means choosing compassion with boundaries, warmth with wisdom. And if that means walking away from someone who's been in your life for years, so be it. Sometimes the greatest act of kindness is the one you give yourself by finally saying enough. So if any part of today's message spoke to you, don't let it slip away. Reflect on it and write it down. Make the choice to stop handing out pieces of yourself to people who never give anything back, because your later years aren't just about surviving. They're about healing, growing, and surrounding yourself with people who truly see you. And that starts with letting go of those who never did. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe and share your support. Helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.